Joining us now is former Republican Congressman Carlos Curbelo and former Democratic Congresswoman Donna Edwards. Congressman Curbelo, I'm not going to play those comments again because they are just so offensive. I wonder what went through your mind hearing those comments about immigrants poisoning the blood of this country.
Anna, it was a here we go again moment. This is no surprise. This is who Donald Trump has always been. This is how he launched his political career back in 2015. So it's unfortunate. It's offensive. But at the same time, sort of who Donald Trump is. And it's also a reminder of the liabilities that Donald Trump will have on the campaign trail. He's not going to stop this. And this kind of rhetoric, Anna, really turns off centrist voters. It turns off swing voters. So even though Trump is doing well in the polls right now, you can always count on him to be his own worst enemy.
I think he thinks it works for him. Congresswoman Edwards, the other part of it is we're not hearing a bunch of his GOP contenders trying to use this against him. It was really only Chris Christie we heard this weekend pushing back directly. Here was his response.
He's disgusting. And what he's doing is dog whistling to Americans who feel absolutely under stress and strain from the economy and from the conflicts around the world. And he's dog whistling it to blame it on people from areas that don't look like us.
Congresswoman Edwards, what does it tell you if other candidates aren't condemning those hateful comments?
Well, I think shame on them. I mean, the reality is that Donald Trump, this is who Donald Trump is, and none of these candidates has really even said anything. I mean, I listened, for example, to Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham said, oh, it's just words. Well, it was words. On January 6th. It's words that inspired people who attacked Asian Americans following Trump's comments about COVID. It was inspired violence against black and brown people. And so words really do matter. And shame on these candidates who want to be president, but don't have it in them to condemn the words of Donald Trump and the hateful speech that he engages in. And it's not the first time. I mean, he used the term vermin back in November, right, and none of the candidates said anything.
Right, and he's made comments about poisoning the blood of our country also in recent months. So this wasn't the first time he used that phrasing specifically. He also made more explosive comments during that same rally over the weekend. He quoted and appeared to praise Vladimir Putin. He called North Korea's Kim Jong-un a, quote, very nice man. He called people arrested for violence on January 6th hostages. And this is, of course, after he said he's going to be a dictator for a day, on day one. Congressman Curbelo, is this the same Trump we saw in 2016, or has he actually gone even further to the right?
Well, I think it's the same Trump in some ways, but certainly if he returned to the presidency, he would be emboldened. Again, for me, unfortunately, this is no surprise. Anna, remember in the spring of 2018, I was on an Air Force One trip with Trump from Palm Beach to Key West. And he expressed admiration that the Castro dictatorship had been in power for over 60 years. And he quickly told me, I understand they're bad, but still it's impressive that they were in power for 60 years. So this is a man who admires authoritarians. He's not shy about saying it. And of course, we know that he has those impulses as well. And again, I think this will all come back into relief on the campaign trail if he's a Republican nominee. And it will remind a lot of those swing voters in swing states all over this country why they rejected Donald Trump and his movement in 3 consecutive elections, 2018, 2020, and 2022. Donald Trump will remind all of these people who he is.
The Biden campaign released a statement saying, quote, Donald Trump channeled his role models as he parroted Adolf Hitler, praised Kim Jong-un, and quoted Vladimir Putin while running for president on a promise to rule as a dictator and threaten American democracy. And yet here's what we're hearing from voters in Nevada about Trump's comments.
Most of us all came as immigrants somewhere or another. And you have to do it legally, and you just can't just be pouring in here with no, I mean, they're just coming in here with no skills, no nothing. And, you know, we don't know really any of their backgrounds, what they are.
I think unvetted immigrants are ruining a lot of things in this country.
Yeah, in order to choose who we let in the country, we have to have a secure border. If you don't have a secure border, you don't know who's getting in. Are there, gang members? Are they terrorists?
That's what the voters think, at least these voters, these Republican voters. Congresswoman Edwards, your reaction?
Well, here's the thing. The difference is for voters can say those things, but I think that they are motivated when they have somebody like Donald Trump running for the president of the United States who expresses those very thoughts. I mean, the reality is that immigrants continue to build this country, that there were tons of unvetted immigrants who came to the United States in earlier centuries. And the fact is that we need immigrants to continue to grow and strengthen our economy and contribute to this country. I think it's wonderful that people want to come here and build a life in the United States. It says a lot about who we are. And unfortunately, we have to have leaders who are able to express their beliefs and commitment to a nation of immigrants in a way that does not endanger people. And Donald Trump is a danger.